Hey guys, it's Cory with the Showdown Battle League. We've got our Season 6 draft video analysis, and I am joined by a couple of different coaches from the main league and the alt league. And we're not going to waste any time and just get right into it.
Here's a real high-class bout.
We're going to start off with Jack and the Toronto Staraptors. And Jack's team is Tapu Lele, Weavile, Infernape, Tentacruel, Bronzong, Blissey, Jolteon, Quagsire, Stoutland, Gigalith, and Mega Garchomp. So I wanted to see what all do you guys think is a threat on this team, and what do you guys give it as an overall ranking?
Scary out of 10. 3 spooky, 5 me. Seriously, hyper offense at its best. Like, what the
I can only agree with that. Like, he started off with a really just offensive draft, picked up his tanks, and then went, no, I fancy using sand.
Yeah.
And I feel like trying to team build against Jack is just going to be really difficult this season.
Yeah, it's like, does he bring sand? Like, he doesn't even need to bring sand. He has everything. He
Yeah,
can run everything without sand.
He has a competent team without running the sand core.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Tapu Lele in itself is just a whole can of worms.
And I think I might be wrong on this, but Jack, have we had a sand team before in the league?
Kind of with Shaman back season 3 when he had like Hippo and with Excadrill, and I think someone else drafted. Last season I think it was Cody who also had Driller and stuff, but no one's drafted Garchomp since season 1. And I don't think anyone's abused the fact that Gigalith I don't think anyone's ever drafted Gigalith, so despite being like a sand setter in tier 4. So that's new. With Stoutland, for only 30 points, it's like a lot of value for some low tier picks.
Well, I think this is Gigalith's first season as a sand setter, isn't it?
I think we still had it in tier 5 in season 4 and 5, and no one caught on and grabbed like Gigalith Excadrill.
Yeah.
Which would have been busted.
So my first thought looking at this team is his high tier Pokemon are going to be really obviously big threats. Weavile, Infernape have both been pretty close to the top of the MVP list in past seasons. This is the first season Tapu Lele has been allowed, so we will see if that was a good choice or a bad choice here in a couple weeks. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how the sand team does and how he does without the sand. Looking at this team off the bat, I'm probably going to go ahead and give it maybe an 8.5, just because I think some of the lower tier picks without sand could be a little better, but I'll see what you guys think on that one.
I was going to go exactly the same rating. I think it's an all-around solid team. I'm interested to see how Jack uses sort of the Bronzong, Blissey, Jolteon, Quagsire setup, his little middle 4 picks, but it's a really good team. 8.5 from me.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 9, be a little more generous. It's just, like the only things that really abuse the sand, need sand, are the last 3. And when only 3 of your 11 picks are like sand requirements, then I think that's pretty good. A lot of versatility right there. So. Yeah.
Okay, so looking at about an 8.5 average here. Jack, you have any thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I'm just excited to try a bit more of an offensive approach than I usually do. I think Mega Garchomp is really cool because you don't have to Mega right away, so it's kind of like having regular Garchomp, but like slightly cheaper, just without an item, but you can Mega whenever you want. And yeah, I think my team is going to kind of revolve way more around how I use my offense than kind of like my bulky core, but I think I've got enough to work with in some really good speed tiers that won't be a problem.
Yeah, one thing I did want to touch on are the Z holders that we have picked out. I think Infernape's a great one. It's super versatile, and you can do a lot with it, and it's fast. So I think that's definitely a solid, one of the better choices we've had so far. Jolteon, I'm kind of iffy on. I don't really know much about what it can do, other than fast electric. But again, it's a Z holder that's very fast, so I think that would be helpful. I don't know if it has the diversity that some other Pokemon could have had, but I think for his team that was a good choice.
Yeah, my hands were kind of tied because it pretty much came down to, outside of like a gimmick Tentacruel set, it was Jolteon or Stoutland. And Stoutland in the sand with a Z move I think is amazing, but I don't think Stoutland in the sand is coming as often as Jolteon will, just on an average basis. And it does get like Signal Beam for like the Bug one, or like you can run like Hyper Beam if they have like a really good ground type, like that's going to do like 200 damage or whatever. So if it's like a mixed Hippo, it's probably going to one-shot it, or not one-shot it, but like do a lot more than HPI. So there are a few options I was like throwing around, but didn't really have that much flexibility with my middle one.
It's on!
Okay, so we will go ahead and move on to the second team, Joe with the New England Bat Rats. We've got Mega Mawile, Xurkitree, Toxapex, Tyrantrum, Bisharp, Chinchino, Cresselia, Rotom-Frost, Oricorio, Serperior, and Clefairy. And looking at this team right off the bat, it has a lot of really good Pokemon on it. My only concern with it is that they don't really synergize super well, just from looking at it. I think he's got great high-tier picks. Some of the lower-tier picks I'm iffy on. We'll see how Oricorio does. Rotom-Frost, I'm kind of iffy on that one. But interested to see what you guys think on that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that, like, I think the one thing he said he didn't realize that half of his draft is weak to ground. So then he proceeds to pick up 3 things that are off the ground in the lower tiers. Cresselia, Rotom-Frost, and Oricorio. And then, you know, I've never heard of like using Clefairy, so I have no idea what to expect from there. It's probably just a Eviolite, I assume. So, and then yeah, what you said like about synergy, especially with the whole ground type thing. But otherwise, it's pretty menacing. All his top tier picks are either annoying or just super powerful. Xurkitree and Mawile, nothing needs to be said. Toxapex is just an annoying wall. If you don't have anything super effective for it, then you're kind of screwed. And then, yeah. Cinchino's just annoying. Choice Band Cinchino, don't sleep on that.
That's Joe's signature pick. If there's one pick that Joe will pick every single season, it's Cinchino. But no, I think Joe's team just it is threatening. Like,
yeah,
seeing his first 5 picks for me, just that scares me in itself. So I'm looking forward to battling against Joe if I do.
The only reason I'm not scared, like I said, is because I have Excadrill. So it's just like half of his draft is just doesn't want to come in on an Excadrill's Earthquake. So it's like,
especially because with Mold Breaker, things like Cress and Rotom-Frost aren't also switching in. So it's literally his only switch in drill is, I guess, Oricorio or Serp.
But it's like the minute,
yeah,
like the minute I lose it rip, because his team is just that threatening.
I've got a lot of problems with this team, to be honest, so I'll just kind of list them off. First off, he has no hazard removal whatsoever, which I think is a big problem. I mean, luckily his team has the best webs deterrers in the league with Bisharp and Serp, but like having no removal whatsoever I think is a big problem. His offense really all requires setup to be good. They need like a turn to set up. He has no good immediate offense outside of like maybe Banded Tyrantrum. Like Bisharp needs the Swords Dance, Zerk kind of needs that Tail Glow, Mawile needs the Swords Dance. So I think that's going to limit him. Also, his only rock setters are all like Bish, Mawile, and Tyrantrum, none of which really want to run rocks because they want to be offensive. They need their coverage, they need their setup. It's going to be awkward for him to set hazards outside of Toxapex. And then the fact that all of his walls are also just super passive and pretty much lose to taunts. Like Pex has been very mixed so far with the league. It has had it's pretty much lost people games because it hasn't been able to swap setup. Same thing with Crest and Clefairy. I just feel like his team is just very all over the place. He's got like some good offense, as I said, that's like very ground weak, very setup based, and I think his defense isn't just going to work. And the fact that he has no removal whatsoever for hazards, I think is severely going to limit what his team can do.
Does Clefairy get Stealth Rock?
I don't think so. I think only Clefable gets Stealth Rock. I actually pretty sure I checked that, but I can double check on Smogown.
Does Clefairy also have Unaware? Let me check right now.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. What does that have, like Cute Charm?
Yeah, Q Charm and
Friend Guard.
Magic
Friend
Guard.
Yeah, okay, Friend Guard's still fine, but if this thing had Unaware Eviolite, that'd be good.
Actually, apparently a Stealth Rock. I think checked like Wikipedia and said it didn't have Stealth Rock, so that's not bad, but I don't know how often Clefairy is really going to be coming. So
yeah, I get you.
Yeah, one thing I really would have liked to have seen was something else to resist fire on his team. He has a lot of fire weakness as well. And it's going to be pretty common, I think, for somebody to try and burn Mega Mawile with Will-O-Wisp. So something like Chandelure would have been pretty cool to switch into that and block that with a Flash Fire. But overall, I think I'm going to give Joe's team a 7.
What do you think, before I give my rating, what do you think he's going to do with Oricorio?
I have no idea. I don't really know what that can do, to be honest.
Is there like a common type that's around besides like electric? Is there anything cool with the other types?
Everything else is just kind of as you'd expect, from what I know anyway. I don't know of any other specialties that it can run.
Alright. I'd probably give it like a 6, just because, like, despite the weaknesses and like no hazard removal, like his offense is that threatening. Like, just put a scarf on Circuitry, and if he gets a kill, it's game over. You know.
I'd probably give it a 6.5. As Robert said, it's got ridiculously crazy offense, but again, bouncing off what Jack says, the defensive core just seems a little bit lackluster.
I'm going to give him a 4 because I think a lot of the other teams are just way stronger on paper. Also, I don't like the fact that both Bisharp and Mawile really rely on Sucker Punch. People played around that using stuff like Substitute and Will-O-Wisp. The fact that he has 2 Pokemon that really rely on it means I think his team is going to be a bit easier to manage.
That's a pretty rough rating on Joe there. So I would say that the average is probably about a 6 for Joe. So we'll give him a 6. Did want to talk about his Z holders. We've got Xurkitree for high tier and Oricorio for low tier. I think Xurkitree is a good pick. Obviously, his options for tier 1. That's really about it. But I think that's a good pick for him for that one. Low tier, again, there's not a whole lot of options for him that he could have done. So I think Oricorio is a pretty good choice there. What do you guys think on those?
I think the Circuitry one's pretty interesting because he might be able to use it to get a free Beast Boost off just by, Z something obliteration.
Oh, yeah. Just
Yeah.
like Gigavolt Havoc right off the bat, and then
Yeah, just instant +1 Circuitry. So he gets the setup turn that was obviously a big problem without really needing to do much else.
Okay, so
And as for the Oricorio, it's like what was said earlier, but I have no idea. So
This match will get red hot.
we'll go ahead and move on to the next team, Hans and the Nuremberg Ninetales. We've got Celesteela, Mega Slowbro, Alolan Marowak, Mandibuzz, Vaporeon, Haxorus, Gliscor, Virizion, Comfey, Regirock, and Goodra. And looking at this team off the bat, this looks like definitely more of a defensive team. But it also seems like a pretty well-balanced team, just from looking at it. Not really sure what Comfey can do, but otherwise, I would say this is a pretty solid team overall.
yeah, it's really thick. Right off the bat, Celesteela and Mega Slowbro just makes me just like what does Slowbro have, like 180? If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's something ridiculous like that. I'll double check.
Yeah, I think it's 180.
So he could just run like a special Celesteela, and then just like, hold on, what does he have that's fat? Celesteela, Slowbro, Mandibuzz, Vaporeon, Gliscor, Regirock, kind of. Just like, it's just all around fat. So, but on that, for the trade-off, he doesn't have too much scariness, barring like maybe Haxorus, if he gets like a Swords Dance up, or like Choice Scarf Haxorus. But otherwise, I'm not too afraid. Offensively, I'm more afraid of how I'm gonna like break through his defensive mons, because they're just like insanely bulky. So, but his tier 1 defense core do share an electric type weakness, so that could be something.
I feel like he's covered that well with his Alolan Marowak though.
That's true.
And his Gliscor. I feel like those are both really nice picks to complement his T1 picks.
Mhm.
I've always been worried about Battling Hands and always struggled because I feel like I just struggled getting through his team, and I feel like this season's just going to be no different. I'm putting it out there. I'm scared of Hans' team this season.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Don't
Hans'
blame
team
me.
is definitely going to be a contender. You're going to have to bring a lot of power to get through it. I really like most of his picks. Again, I don't know anything about Comfey or what it can and can't do. But looking at his team, there's nothing really on here that I think is a wasted pick. And that's something that's important when you do these draft picks. Is a lot of people, they'll just let their tier 5s be, useless, whatever they find. But Hans, I think, really put some thought into every pick that he made. So I'm excited to see how he uses it. And I'm going to go ahead and give this team, I'm probably going to give this team an 8.
I'd give Hans' team probably an 8 as well. I feel like with Hans' team, there's nothing that overly stands out, but at the same time, you can't say there's anything that just feels lackluster. So Yeah, solid 8.
I can live with an 8. It sounds pretty reasonable.
I'm gonna go 7.5 just because I think his team really is pretty slow, and I'm curious to see if he abuses Trick Room in a few matchups with things like Mega Slowbro and Marowak. But I think having your fastest Pokemon being Virizion at like 108, then Comfy, and then it drops down to like 80 for like Haxorus or whatever. I think unless he uses Trick Room or kind of manages to use Tailwind in a really good way, his team, faster teams are going to be able to run like Adamant Modest very, very easily, plus a lot of bulk, which is going to make it harder for his defensive core to deal with. That, and I like how he does Marowak to patch up the Bolt Beam weakness, but Electric Ice coverage against his team is really, really good. Hits pretty much everything effectively, which I think also is a bit of a might be a bit of an issue for him. But I like pretty much all of his picks. I think as this synergy goes a bit weaker, so I'm gonna go 7.5.
Yeah, my only complaint with his team is he doesn't really have a lot of offensive pressure. So I think that if he would have had a little more of that, I think he could have gotten higher. 8.5 or a 9, I think, is what we would have probably been seeing. But I would say overall, it looks like he's averaged about an 8 for him. And we will move on to Lauren with the Rothenberg Reuniclus. This is her first full season in the main league. She took over halfway through last season. And she's got Buzzwole, Mew, Mega Aggron, Emboar, Heliolisk, Togekiss, Thundurus T, Frostlass, Blastoise, Ludicolo, and Scyther. And this is a pretty good team as well. Really like the Mew pick. I think that's one of the best picks you can get in a draft. It can do pretty much anything you want it to do. Mega Aggron, again, is also one of the better Megas in League format, I think. It's very hard to kill, and it can do a lot. Looking at the rest of it, though, Buzzwole, Dennis used it well last season, but I'm not sure how much success it's going to see this season. Just basically bring HP flying and it's dead. But otherwise, I think it's also a pretty solid team. I'm not sure if I like the Scyther pick along with Buzzwole and a couple others. I think that's, type overlap there is a little bit of a problem. And a little bit of a rock weakness on some of these for the Stealth Rocks. But overall, I think it's a pretty solid team overall.
Yeah. Yeah, like what you said about the Rock's weakness, it's gonna force her to like practically have to bring like Blastoise almost every week because like Togekiss is also weak to Rock, so it's not reliable. Wait, it gets defog, right? Togekiss?
Believe so.
Yeah, it does.
So, and then I think even Scyther gets defog. But I think Blastoise is the only one. Well, Mew can defog too, so. I'm not seeing, besides the rocks, I'm not seeing a lot of obvious weaknesses. It looks pretty good, so can't complain.
I personally I like Lauren's first 3 picks. I think the Buzzwole Mew Mega Aggron setup is just a bulky core that's just going to be tough for anyone to break through. But I feel like after that, I feel like it somewhat got to I like this one, I'm going to pick that. Almost.
Oh, that was me.
I'm the first 3 are great, but I feel like the synergy throughout the rest of the team just kind of isn't there for me. But I do like the Thundurus T snipe from Jarrett, so that's fine. It's up my rating of her a lot.
I like how she built around both Mew and Mega Aggron. She paired Mega Aggron with Togekiss, which can Wish Pass, Heal Bell, be really like the two synergize. Also, they take each other's attacks pretty well. One's physical, one special, that sort of thing. And she got enough like hazard setters and removal and good bulk so that Mew is more flexible to be offensive. She hasn't picked her Z holders yet, but I think Mew could be a really, really solid option. Outside of that, yeah, bit of a Rocks weakness, maybe kind of relying on Blastoise a lot because other options are just defoggers. But overall, I like most of her picks. She has pretty good hazard setting options. Not sure about Ludicolo or Scyther because she doesn't really have Rain. I've yet to see Ludicolo do anything in this format. And same thing with Scyther. I've only ever seen Scyther used once. Every other time, it's kind of either been benched or dropped after the first few weeks. So I'm curious to see how she uses those.
So yeah, I would say that this is kind of similar to Hans' team a little bit, just with a little more offense than bulk. So I think that she's probably deserving of an 8 as well.
I would probably just drop that to a 7.5 purely because I feel like I think I'm just more scared of Hans's team, whereas I feel like I can spot the weaknesses in Lawrence and sort of I can pick out where to focus my picks.
Everything he just said.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5 as well.
Okay, so we'll give her a 7.5 overall. Again, just like with Hans, she has not finalized that I'm aware of her Z picks yet. And we will move on to Robert with the Carson Ride-Ons. And correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, this is also your first season in the main league, is that correct?
Yeah, in the main league, yeah.
Okay.
Now go!
So we've got Excadrill, Gengar, Mega Gallade, Melodic, Granbull, Crocodile, Rotom Heat, Lurantis, Kyurem, Silvally, and Archeops. A lot of offense on this team, which is definitely good. I think we're going to have some short games with this team. You're either going to win or you're going to lose pretty quick, which is the games that I like to play. I don't really like the stall fest that we have seen. Looking at you, Carlos. But I like Excadrill a lot. Jack showed us, I think, last season that Mega Gallade was a good threat. Gengar is really good. Melodic is personally one of my favorite water types. I used it in Season 1 and got some really good use out of it. And Granbull is, I think, my favorite Pokemon just in general. So that's always fun to see him brought. He's a pretty good fairy, offensive fairy type. But overall, I think this is a good offensive team. Like I said, it's going to end games quick. What do you guys think about it?
I love the amount of... I love offense. I'm with Cory on this one. I get tired of sitting around for 80 turns trying to pivot around different picks. I just want to get in there and start dealing some damage. So this team, I love the look of it. I'm a little unsure on some of the synergy between it, but I think it's just going to build from there.
I really like this team. I think he's got a really good mix of offense with some solid walls to fall back on. Things like Melodic, Granbull, Rotom Heat all paired together, I think is going to do really well. And I think Mega Gallade right now is one of the top 5 Pokemon in the format in terms of Megas. I think it's just so fantastic with really good move pool, really good stats and such. I'm curious to see how he uses Silvally because it hasn't really done much so far, but I think with being able to change types, like being Steel if you need that extra Steel type in a matchup, or being Fairy, or whatever you need it for, I think it's really flexible, and I'm excited to see how he uses it. Only kind of gripe with this team is that he doesn't have too much setup. He has a few Pokemon with Swords Dance like Gallade and Excadrill, but outside of that, and he doesn't really have too many options. So it's kind of like if you know a Pokemon walls it, you don't have to worry about them boosting their stats as much, just because he doesn't have that much flexibility in that part. Outside of that, though, I think this is one of the more solid drafts overall.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the ones we've looked at so far, definitely one of my favorites. This is one that I think I would enjoy playing with, so that's a big plus for me. I'd probably give him an 8.5 as well, up there with Jack's team.
Despite what I had said before, I'd have to agree with Cory and go 8 to 8.5. I do think that the team can come together. I think I'm a little unsure on the Silvally pick and what it can do, but I hope to see a lot of potential from that one because I love that one.
I think having Silvally with Parting Shot mix of Volt Switch, Rotom Heat could kind of make Pseudo Volt Turn Core, which is going to be really valuable for things like Gengar, Gallade, getting them free switch-ins. I think that could work out really well if he uses it well. I'm going to give him an 8.
Okay. Robert, do you want to talk about this team a little bit and why you drafted what you did?
Alright. So originally this was supposed to be my first thoughts when making the team was supposed to be Sand. That's why Excadrill was always going to be there right away. But then I was one of the main reasons I do draft is because, I'd like to escape how boring OU and normal Smogon can get sometimes. I like seeing the diversity in these draft leagues.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to go for Lurantis. You never see Lurantis, and Silvally. It's I just think having all those types available. I can have whatever type I need. I think that's pretty big. And then, yeah, I didn't want to go for like super walls, and I didn't want to go for like hyper offense. So I wanted to go for something a little bit in the middle. So wanted to draft just all around a good mix of offense and defense. But even some of my walls could, like Crocodile, it doesn't have to just be an Intimidator rocker. It could be a Moxie Choice Scarf Sweeper. Or like Lurantis, sure, it's a Defogger, but also has Contrary Leaf Storm. So.
Okay, so I think the consensus here is about an 8. One thing I really like is his Tier 3 Kyurem pick. We've seen from past seasons that's a really powerful mid-tier Pokemon, especially if you throw out like a Choice Scarf or something like that. That's hands down, I think in Season 2 maybe it was up in the top 3 of MVP for most of the season. So that'll be interesting to see how that's used here. But waiting to see his Mega or his Z move picks. And we will go on to Gayton with the Green Bay Slakings.
A brawl is surely brewing.
Got Kartana, Mega Alakazam, Arcanine, Hydreigon, Alomomola, Zapdos, Whimsicott, Hariyama, Claydol, Skuntank, and Miltank. And just looking at this team, I do like it. It's fast and it's threatening. The top tier picks, in my opinion, the top tier 1 through 3, are all really good. The bottom tier ones I'm a little more iffy on, but I think Kartana is going to be a huge threat. Mega Alakazam is fast and very powerful, and I really like Zapdos a lot. It's good, offensively, defensively, however you want to use it. So what do you guys think on this one?
This is one. Oh, you can go.
You go ahead. I'm British. It's etiquette.
Yeah, I was gonna say this draft. It's actually one of my personal favorites. I think if he uses it well, it has the potential to be one of the best drafts. He has really amazing flexibility in his speed tiers, where it's not like everything's clumped around like 110 or 100 or 80 or whatever. He has Zam at 150, then like Kartana like 105, then Zapdos 100, Whimsicott 115. Like it's really good range, which is really difficult to prepare for when people who actually speed creep and when you're trying to plan Scarfers and stuff, and just plan if using like Timid or Modest or whatever. So I think that's gonna be really good. He has really flexible options for hazard removal, which is good if you have a core of like Arcanine and Zapdos, while also just having like good setters. I think his low tier picks with like things like Miltank and Skuntank, and I think Claydol is even underrated. We've seen how good Hariyama is. Those are all fantastic, and he's got pretty decent options for offense too. I think one of the things that's going to make or break this team is how he uses Arcanine and Zapdos offensively, because his main offense, when you look at it right now, is Zam, Kartana, Hydreigon, which isn't, and I guess Hariyama, which isn't too much. But I think Arcanine and Zapdos, they can be run offensive, and if he uses those well, and not just in a defensive role, it's going to bolster his offense overall, and that's going to be really important.
I personally, with Jack, I really love this team. I think the first four ones that he picked up are fantastic, have a good lot of synergy. I love using every single one of those mons. I'm a little bit dubious on Claydol, Skuntank, and Miltank, more so because I have never really used them, so I'd like to see how they're used. But the other thing to point out is that he still does have 10 points remaining, so he can up one of his picks if he so chooses, which should be interesting later on in the season.
So yeah, I'm going to give this team probably an 8.5, up there with Jack's team. I think Kartana is really going to be a threat, and this is the first season that it's been allowed, so kind of like with Tapu Lele, we'll get to see what it can do. But I think it's a well-balanced team with good offense and good defense.
Yeah, I'd probably go a 7.5, because like what you said, like it had like great synergy, and I don't spot any like immediate weaknesses besides that. Like his top tier, like his offense is like, it's super frail. It's like Kartana, Alakazam are like paper on the defense side, so it's like just look at them and they go down. But otherwise, it's pretty solid. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
I'd probably go in the middle. I agree with what Robert said about his slightly flimsy offense. I feel like, especially for a team like Joe's earlier that had the double Sucker Punch, I feel like Sucker Punch could be a big problem for this team. especially his top 2 threats anyway. But overall, I love the team. I love the Z-mods. I think it's fantastic.
I'm gonna go 8. I think I wish he had a few more hazard setting options. He has good removal, but having only Cladle and Miltank as setters, I think Miltank's really good and it's gonna show up a lot. Having both Thick Fat and Sap Sipper is really nice to like bolster your immunities in bulk. But I could see matchups where he decides not to bring either of them. In that case, he has no hazard setting options at all, and I think it's gonna be an issue. So I think just rocks are really important for most drafts and such.
You're up!
Alright, so we'll move on to Tony and the Columbus Littons. He's got Mega Gardevoir, Zygarde, Nihilego, Ferrothorn, Necrozma, Zoroark, Incineroar, Seismitoad, Mismagius, Yanmega, and Electivire. And again, I do really like this team a lot as well. I'm going to go ahead and just real quick jump right into Zoroark because he is really good at using this Pokemon. He's used it a couple of times now, and I remember, I don't know if it was last season or the season before that, he had everyone freaking out about a special Ferrothorn. So he's got the same combo here again. I think that's a really good Pokemon, and I think he really uses it well, especially in League format. And the fact that it's his low tier Z holder, I really think that's a great choice for that one. It's got a lot of flexibility. But overall, he's got some good picks on this team. He has also already dropped a couple of them. So he dropped Vikavolt and Aurorus and picked up Yanmega and Electivire, which I think were both good picks for him. But he's got another one of those drafts where I see very few weak picks. Every pick kind of has its own purpose. So I like that a lot. I think he's got some good offense. He's got some good defense as well. I think his defense is a little more lacking though, so I think that's going to make him take a little bit less on the point scale. But Mega Gardevoir is great. You can just throw Hyper Voice on it and it does its job. And Zygarde's awesome as well. It's just gotten better as the time has gone on. So my biggest complaint with this team, I think, is probably the lack of a lot of walls. It could have a little more defense.
Along with what you said about the defense, I think something that really cripples this team is that, yeah, there is no hazard removal. And when he has things like Yanmega and the critically important things like Gardevoir and the very frail Zoroark, I think, you know, not having hazard removal is a pretty big misfire in my opinion. And then a couple picks like Incineroar, I'm not too sure about. Like, I love Incineroar, don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, but I also know how he is with this team. And yeah, that's all I have right now for it. So.
My personal thoughts on the team were, the one thing I picked out on was I'm still a little bit unsure on his Z-mons. I can see why he chose Zoroark here, but for me, I would have gone Mismagius every time. I just think it's a better Z-move user overall. And in terms of his higher tier pick, I would have gone Zygarde almost every time. So I'm intrigued to see what he does with Nihilego in terms of utilizing Z-moves.
I really like this team. I think it's got a lot of really good strengths to it. He has probably some of the best hazard stacking potential out of any team, having really multiple good rock setters with Toad, Ferrothorn, and Nihilego and Necrozma, plus having spikes and toxic spikes. So that's really good. A lot of his team has like Pokemon like Incineroar or Gardevoir can be run bulky, so that helps make up for the fact that he doesn't have too many walls. Like, this looks like a really definitive bulky offense kind of team. And I love his setup options. Again, it's like one of the best setups available in the league. Necrozma can be a bulky Calm Mind or stored power sets. Zoroark has Calm Mind, Swords Dance, Nasty Plots. Zygarde's Dragon Dance. Yanmega has Speed Boost. So Mismagius, Nasty Plot, that sort of thing. So that's really fantastic. Only two big problems with this team is someone, I think it was Robert, already pointed out. No removal is a big issue when you have a great stacking team, especially when he has Pokemon like Yanmega and Incineroar, which I think are both two good low tier picks, but it's going to be really hard to utilize them once rocks get set up, and I think it's going to be able to chip away at his team way easier. And I think his team, he has some decent speed, but it all kind of caps out at 105 roughly with Zoroark and Nihilego, and like everything is slower outside of Yanmega speed boost. So if he had like one faster Pokemon, like 115 or 120 or whatever, I think that would be a bit better, but I think having those clump speed tiers makes it easier to prepare. If you have like Pokemon that's like base 125, you can really easily afford to run Adamant or Modest without having to worry about anything outspeeding you outside of Scarfers.
So what are we going to give Tony on the rankings?
I'll give him an 8. It's pretty solid. Despite what I said about the no hazard removal, it's still, it's only like 2 mons that are like really like destroyed by rocks, but otherwise the others can live with the hazard. So, and if he keeps that Nihilego like late game, the toxic fights are a non-issue. So, yeah, solid 8 from me.
I'd probably go 7.5. I think as much as I do like the team and I like the bulky offense style that it has, as well as a Zorok to come in late and sweep, I feel like the hazards are going to be a problem in getting all of his battle plans set up. As while he does have all of these hazards and all of these setup mods, it's going to take a lot of moving around to get that set up, and doing that into hazards, I feel like he might struggle.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7.5. I would probably give him an 8 because I think some of the issues of this team can be patched up with free agency trades. But he's one of the few people who have already committed to using up most of them, which I don't really agree with. Like maybe he saw some problems that like other people didn't, but like I feel like it's so early in the season, you get to even use your team in a game yet. You're kind of limiting yourself, whereas other people can spend time using their teams, figure out the weaknesses, or they can make trades just for playoffs, knowing I'm going to play this person, they have a fire weakness, let me get an extra fire type or whatever. The fact that he's already committed to making these trades, I think is going to limit him, and if he finds any more problems with his team, or if he really wants to get a good remover, he's going to have less flexibility to do so. So I'm going to give 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to do a 7.5 as well. I think he's got a good team that can really do a lot of damage, but he does have some weaknesses there that lower it a little bit.
A great slam and then some.
So next up, we will go to Brian on the Boston Breloom. He's got Tapu Koko, Tornadus T, Mega Scizor, Pelipper, Kingdra, Azelf, Mamoswine, Diancie, Shiftry, Piloswine, and Tauros. I like this team a lot. This is gonna be a threatening team. It's got the rain setup that covers a lot of his weaknesses and really enhances some of his picks like Koko, and helps protect Mega Scizor as well. He's used Mamoswine a lot in the past, so he knows what he's doing. I know Azelf's a pretty good pick as well, and I believe he's used that one before. I think the only ones that I don't really know why he picked them is Piloswine and Shiftry as well. So those are probably the two that I'm taking into account on a lower scale. But overall, I think this is potentially one of the best picks in the draft, or the best drafts in the league, I should say. My only issue with it, I guess, is it's going to be obvious that rain's coming pretty regularly, so it's going to be a little bit easier to prep for.
Yeah, that was the one thing I wanted to point out. I kind of drew parallels to Brian's team from Ryan's team last season, because Ryan also did Pelipper, Mega Scizor, and Tornadus T. But I think the thing that Ryan's team did better is his team looked better where he could bring rain, but he had a lot of Pokemon that also just worked outside of it, like Entei and Sneasel and Nidoqueen. It made it kind of like a guessing game. You don't know if he's going to bring rain or not. Whereas with this team, I feel like it has more of a reliance on it, because Kingdra outside of rain is not nearly as good. Same thing with a few other things on his team. Like I think he's kind of boxed himself into having to bring rain more often, which might limit him. I really do like what he has with rain, though. I think he picked up some really good setters midway through, and his team definitely is really fantastic offense and Volturn and such. Amazing Volturn, probably the best out of any team. Although I also agree with Cory that I think some of his tier 5s, maybe he'll prove us wrong, but right now I think there's some of the weaker ones, maybe not the best. Like Shiftry, I don't think it's that great, and he explained why I wanted Piloswine to be more of a defensive counterpart to Mamoswine, and Tauros is fast, but I've still yet to see anyone really use it too well in this format.
I personally think that Tauros is really underrated because, like you said, it is fast and it has a lot of different moves. Like its move pool is actually insane, and then it has sheer force, right? So it gets like sheer force, stab, body slam, and like rock climb and stuff, and then it could use things like Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, Earthquake, And then you can even throw in a couple special moves to like throw for that, like that Scizor. You could throw in Fire Blast on Tauros, as long as the rain's not up, and just OHKO that thing. And it's Sheer Force boosted, so it's definitely gonna OHKO. So I think Tauros is really underrated. Piloswine, it's probably what you said, the defensive Mamoswine. I still think Ice is like such a bad defensive Ice typing. No, wait, I said that. Wait, I just think that Ice is not good for for defense. For one of your walls, has too many weaknesses. And Shiftry, I'm okay with Shiftry. I think he, having a grass type, a defogger, it's fine. And then the rest of his team is just scary. Definitely one of my favorite like offensive cores, that Rain. Yeah.
I want to point out the fact that during our off-season tournament, I used Rain, and Brian very purposely pointed out that Rain was not effective in draft and probably shouldn't be picked up. And yet here he is with a Rain team. But anyway,
throw you off.
yeah, exactly. He also stopped my Coco. But anyway, no, with Brian's draft, I love his first 7 picks. Until it gets to Mamoswine, I'm all on board. For me, it quite strongly falls off. For me, Piloswine, I like the idea of Piloswine, but I feel like sometimes it's not executed perfectly. Shiftry, I feel, is a little bit lackluster. Tauros, I just don't know. I feel like his lower tier picks are a little bit lackluster, which makes me think that you almost know what you're going to be coming up against each week. Because I feel like I could prep for his top 7, and then anything else that comes with it, I'll be able to deal with anyway. But either way, I mean, his first 7 picks are humongous and very scary.
Yeah, I will say, looking at his team, probably the biggest weakness he has is just it's super predictable. So I think that's gonna make his score go lower than it probably should have. But I do like Coco a lot, and like you said, his 7 picks, his top 7 are really good. But I think the fact that people are gonna know what to prepare for most of the time, I'm probably gonna give Brian a 7 this time.
I'm leaning on a 6.5, but at the same time, like his top tier picks are just so good. So I'll give him a 7. I have faith in Tauros.
I'm gonna go 7 as well. I feel like the team could be. I know I keep going on, but I feel like the lower tier picks could be changed out for others, which I feel would have more impact with the team he's going with. But I feel like he's kind of he's put all his eggs in one basket and then realized, hang on, I need something else here. But realized a bit too late.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5. It's one of those ones where like I give him like maybe not the best rating. I know Brian's probably still gonna do really well because Brian, he could draft pretty much any team, and I'll still probably consider him to be a big threat. But yeah, I think this team is a bit maybe not as consistent, or as other people said, maybe a bit more predictable than some of his other drafts. So I'll go 7.5.
Now, what do you guys think on both of his Z holders, Tapu Koko for the high tier and Kingdra for the low tier?
For Coco, great Z holder. Coco was my Z holder in the Alt League, and he served me pretty well. Kingdra, I'm sure, like, I'm not too familiar with Z Kingdra, but I'm sure he could find something. But I really am a fan of his Coco Z holder. So
I think what Brian tried to do with the Z holders, Tapu Koko, I'm agreeing with. That's a fantastic pick. With Kingdra, I feel like this was another case of he felt like he needed something different to Rain, because in every Rain team I've seen, it specs Kingdra. So I feel like with the Z, he's tried to go, well, now I can run some other things. I can run a Dragon Dance set or something like this. I feel like he could have made it more worth it by taking a T4 or a T5 that could have used that Z move, and that would have had a little bit more threat. But Kingdra's still an interesting pick. I'd like to see what he does with it.
Yeah, I think the Kingdra, I mean, outside of that, like his only other option is really kind of like Shiftry, maybe Tauros, but I think Sheer Force Life Orb is so good that there's not much reason to run specifically Z move. Although Kingdra, unless I'm wrong, like its only coverage is like Water, Dragon, Ice. Outside of that, it's using Hidden Power, so he's pretty much limited himself to only 3 variations of a Z Crystal. unless there's like some other coverage I'm getting that I can't think of, which might limit it. But I like his Z holders both overall.
Yeah, I like Coco as well. I think it's going to be a threat. Kingdra I'm a little iffy on, just because it's going to be, again, predictable. So he's going to get a 7. And next up, we will move to Josh and the London Lucarios.
Here goes.
He has Mega Diancie, Skarmory, Keldeo, Volcarona, Delmise, Flygon, Nidoking, Magneton, Rhydon, Xatu, and Sneasel. This is a well-balanced team, and I think it's a very good team as well. Mega Diancie is definitely one of the more powerful Megas in League format, I think. We've seen it used very well in the past several different times. Keldeo has gotten MVP, I think it was Season 2, so it's definitely a threat. Volcarona is good, and I think a good Z move. Holder, Nidoking is great, has had a lot of flexibility. He's got Magic Bounce with Xatu, he's got the discount Weavile down with Sneasel. The only picks that I'm not really excited about are probably Delmise, and I'm not sure what Flygon can do other than, I know it gets Dragon Dance, so I'm interested to see what that can do. And I'm not super excited about Magneton either.
Well, for me, this might personally be my favorite draft, honestly. It's what you said. It's very well balanced. I like a lot of the mons on his team. Cough, Rhydon, cough. And then getting to use things like, you said discount Sneasel, like its power for such a low price for tier 4. And the same for Magneton. Like Magneton is like like what have we seen so far? Like with Mega Scizor and Mega Aggron, those are non-issue. Once you bring Magneton and just Magnet Trap them and then just get them out of the game, don't have to worry about them. And instead of having, I think Magneton is tier 2, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so instead he was able to draft Volcarona and then get the discount Magnezone with tier 4. And then Flygon, I believe gets Defog, so that's like a surprise Defog user. But besides Choice Scarf, I don't know what else Flygon can do. But overall, yeah, I'm just a big fan of this draft. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is a good one. I'm excited to see how he uses Volcarona as a Z holder. I think the only other one that I think could have been a really good option for Z holder would have been either Keldeo or Nidoking. But I think he made a good choice in Volcarona. So, Josh, I wanted to see what your thoughts were when you drafted this team.
My initial thought was pretty much get Mega Diancie. Mega Diancie was always going to be my first pick. I've been using a team based around it in OU for the past 3 months, and I know it like the back of my hand. Same thing applies to Keldeo. They're both just mons that I know well now, and I know a lot of the sets for them. Skarmory just kind of fit in how I was building, and then the rest kind of just filtered through. Volcarona and Magneton I used last season. I enjoyed using them, so I figured why not pick them up again. Delmise was, I needed a grass type, and it just it felt threatening. I've used it before, I'll see how it goes. The one thing I did want to pick up on was, I noticed a little bit of speculation about Flygon. That was a pick where I kind of considered its versatility, because from what I know, you can run Dragon Dance sets, Scarf sets, a push, a Banded set. Its move pool is quite wide, so having a Z move on it means people aren't really going to know what to expect in terms of if it has a Z move, which I think could be quite threatening. So yeah, and then the last sort of 3 picks were trying to fill the gaps, which I'm quite pleased with, and it's got a nice combination of hazard setters and hazard removal, which I felt was quite necessary. I wish I'd had one more hazard remover, but it happens. I'm happy.
I'll be quick with my points because I think most people have already been covered most of it, but this is definitely one of my favorite drafts. Definitely top 3, top 5. He has great setters, a lot of flexibility with that, while also having a good spin blocker and spinner and Delmise. And Skarmory is one of the best defoggers in the tier. Overall, his offense got so much good flexibility with setup. He has Swords Dance users, he has Dragon Dance, he has Quiver Dance, he has, Rock Polish or Calm Mind of Diancie, so he's got so much variation right there, and a lot of good, like no bad pick at all in my opinion. Even Xatu with Magic Balance with Diancie, it's going to make it hard to get up hazards, which is going to allow Volcarona to be even more threatening. And I also think Sneasel is probably one of the best round 11 picks. That thing is so good against so many high tiers, and it sits at a great speed tier. The only nitpicks I have versus Josh team is it is a bit ice weak. He's going to be reliant on things like Keldeo to switch into a lot of offensive ice types, which might be difficult. And his team does kind of cap out speed around like 115. And it's kind of all clumps around that 110 area. But he does have some good options for speed, like increasing with like Rock Polish, Dragon Dance, Quiver Dance, Skarmory's Tailwind. So I think that won't be a big problem for him. Overall, I really, really like this team.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably going to give Josh's team a 9.
Yeah, I'll give him a 9. It'd be a 10 if there wasn't like this ground weakness that he has. It takes a lot of it guts a lot of his low tier besides Xatu, and like Diancie like gets hit hard by it. But otherwise, it's great. Love it. Love this pick. Love all these picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 9.
All right, so it looks like 9 is the average, which is the highest so far we've had. Next up,
I
we've
knew
got.
there was a reason I turned up.
Yeah, there you go. Next up, we've got.
Picked right on automatic 9 out of.
We're gonna move on to Brandon with the Albany Altarias.
Good day for a swell battle.
One of my favorite megas in my Season 1 mega that I really did well with, I think. Mega Lopunny. Tangrowth, Cobalion, Suicune, Latias, Aromatisse, Entei, Mimikyu, Lanoon, Dusknoir, and Armaldo. And again, looking at this team, I think it's a solid team. I don't think it's it's the best team, but it's not the worst team. I think it's a good, kind of middle of the road, solid team. I like Mega Lopunny a lot. I think Latias is a great Pokemon as well. Jax showed us what Cobalion could do last season, so I'm kind of wondering if that's part of why we're seeing it again. Mimikyu, I'm not really sure we've ever seen a whole lot of use out of it. I know Frank tried it out, but we'll see how that goes this time. Lanoon is a good low tier, and we've kind of seen it's really good in draft format. So yeah, I think it's overall a pretty solid team. I like the Tangrowth Suicune combo he's got going on. What do you guys think on this one?
Kind of like what you said. Like it's not the best, it's not the worst. It's pretty average all around. There's no like gigantic walls, and there's no, besides Mega Lopunny, there's no like immediate offensive presence that I'm like scared of. I do question why he is having a Z Crystal on Mimikyu. It really just has like Ghost and Fairy, like for its coverage. I don't recall it having a lot of coverage outside of those. I think, Z Belly Drum Linoon would have been a lot better, in my opinion. Probably even put it like on, I don't know, Dusknoir. I think Dusknoir has a pretty diverse move pool. But I'd put on Linoon first pick if it was me.
One thing about Mimikyu is it does have Z Splash, which mixed with Disguise is it's only slightly better than Swords Dance, but in a couple matchups, instantly getting a free setup to +3 with Shadow Sneak could very well. It could you can pretty much win, and your opponent can do nothing about it unless they have a specific response, which I think could be really good.
I'm glad that we've all forgotten when I tried to use Z-Splash last season, and it failed miserably. I'm glad we've all forgotten that.
Why did it fail?
I misclicked it.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like a problem.
I misclicked it in front of an Alolan Muck. No, I didn't. I was using Alolan Muck. I can't remember.
Yeah,
it didn't go well. It just didn't go well. But no, I love this team. I have to agree that it's not one that stands out, but I like a lot of the picks included. I think Mega Lopunny is fantastic. Hopefully he has more luck with it than Jared did last season. And then Tangrowth, Cobalion, Suicune, I think they're all fantastic. And he's picked up my Mimikyu, which I am still annoyed about, because I wanted it back again. But that thing can put in work. So I'd like to see what he does with it this season.
I think this team has such amazing synergy. Like Latios, Suicune, like Tangrowth, with like Cobalion, like they all cover each other's weaknesses so well, which is just so fantastic. And all of his walls are like, they're not just passive. Like Tangrowth hits really hard. Suicune can set up in your face. So can things like Aromatisse. So and then his offense has got really good flexibility. Speed tiers, Lopunny super fast. Like Cobalion's decently fast. So is Latios. A really good priority with Entei of extreme speed. Mega Lopunny fake out quick attack. Mimikyu Shadow Sneak. All and Dusknoir also has Shadow Sneak. So that's gonna be, and Linoon's extreme speed. So he's got great, just like terms of speed tiers and priority. Pretty good offensive setup, especially on the physical side. On the special side, he's mainly just a couple Calm Minders and like no nasty plot or anything, but should be fine. The only real weakness this team has is kind of like not the best options for setting or hazards. Like Cobalion is a good rock setter, but the fact that he put a Z move or Z Crystal on it is he's gonna want to run like Swords Dance or Rock Polish, and I think it's gonna limit him if he's reliant on being, you know, a Z move user plus rock setters. His only other options are Maldo, which is like a decent low tier pick that will come to a few games, but like it's not the best. I think if he picks up like one more decent rock setter, like if he had like maybe a Pokemon like, I don't know, like Rhyperior or something, like that's like gonna come to a decent amount of games in this tanky set of rocks, that would just make this draft probably the best in my opinion. But even still, like this is like probably like a 9 out of 10 for me. I really like it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna give him I'd say a 9 as well.
I'd probably agree on that. 9 seems fair for this team. It's fantastic.
Ditto.
And I do think it's interesting that we all said it was you know, not a top tier pick, but it is now tied for the first place. So so yeah, there's that.
It subverts your expectations. Like going in on paper, you don't think it's not that bad, but when you look closer, oh wait a minute.
Yeah, after a little more looking into it, it does seem a little better. Next up, we'll move on to Kevin of the Baltimore Oricorios.
And begin!
He's got Kyurem Black, Mega Venusaur, Florges, Chandelure, Starmie, Metagross, Alolan Muck, Heracross, 10% Zygarde, Rotom Fan, and Omastar. I really like this team a lot. He actually picked a lot of the picks that I made in the Alt League or was going to make. So I really like this team. I kind of wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were.
I'm scared of this team. I am scared of this team. I can't spot any immediate weaknesses. It's just everything just hits so hard on this team. It's just Kyurem Black, Venusaur, Metagross, Alolan Muck, kind of maybe, Heracross, Omastar. I mean, nothing needs to be said about Omastar. He's amazing. I had him. He's kind of. I think he's like the reason I won the Alt League. Omastar. But no, seriously. Looking at it, like I said, it's really good in my opinion. It's not my favorite. That goes to Josh, but it's definitely like top 5, top 3. Just because, you know, like I said, I can't spot. I have to like really think about. I have to really plan when it comes to like when I have to fight Kevin. There's like, because for me right away, there's no immediate weaknesses. It's just, I'm just scared. Too much offensive. Too much offense for me.
Yeah, he has really good balance between having solid bulk with things like Mega Venusaur, Florges, and like Metagross, which covers both of their weaknesses very, very well. Mixed with having some solid offense with Kyurem Black, Chandelure. You know, Mega Venusaur can be run offensively. He has Heracross and Zygarde as like these tier 3. He got these great like picks in like the mid draft. So it was good to see him get good early round picks, but not like do that thing where you get good early round picks and it kind of falls apart. I think his low tiers, things like Rotom Fan and Omastar, are going to be used well, and I think that's just going to be really good. Only like nitpicks I have with his team is his setters aren't too great. He has like, I love Starmie as a remover to pair with Kyurem Black and Chandelure. I think that was really important that he got a good reliable spinner for something like Kyurem Black. But I think his only setters are Omastar and Metagross, which I think is going to limit him. And Omastar has also spikes and toxic spikes, but I think having one more good rock setter would be important. And his team isn't the fastest, and it doesn't have necessarily the best setup. It's not bad, just not too many great options. Like I think Zygarde and Starmie are 115. After that, it kind of drops down to like 95, then drops down to like a lot of base 80s. So that'll be maybe a bit predictable, but I think with a few good Scarfers, maybe something like Rock Polish, Metagross, or Agility, he can patch it up. Overall, this is definitely a team with very few weaknesses and a lot of good obvious strengths.
Yeah, this is a team that I would enjoy using myself. So I think this is potentially one of my favorite teams that I've seen so far. I'm gonna probably give this team a 9.5.
Well, I've calmed down a bit since when I talked. I listening to what was said, I did pick up that this team, like, the power that it has, while it's super powerful, it is very predictable. Like, you know, whatever. Or I mean, his team is flexible, but as far as like the mons individually, you know what they're gonna do. Like, there's not a lot of like, oh, Kieran Black is just, you know, I know what that's gonna do. Venusaur saying it's nothing will surprise me when I go to him, if that makes sense. But despite that, it's still scary, and I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go 9. It's predictable, but things like Kieran Black, you kind of know what it's gonna do, but like it's just so hard to prepare for anyways that like it's still gonna be difficult to prepare for him. And I think these teams where you mix like good bulk and good offense, you have to somehow be able to break Venusaur floor, just star me Metagross, while also thinking, crap, where's my Kieran Black switch in? Where's my sub-comm line Chandelure response? What do I do when Moxie Scarf Heracross is coming in late game? Kevin's a really good battler. He's got a good team. I just hope that we can kind of see like season 1 Kevin, or like, you know, season 3 Kevin, or early season 5 Kevin, where he's got like, he plays well and he can make another playoffs push. I think if he uses his team well, it is definitely among one of the most threatening.
Yeah, I think one of the big detriments Kevin has is he just never has enough time to prep, and we saw that in season 1 where he prepped and made it to playoffs, and we've seen since then he's gotten less time to play and less time to prepare, and that really does kind of hurt his playoff potentials. But I do think if he puts in the time this season, he's definitely a playoff contender with this team. Now, any speculation on what you guys think he might pick for his Z holders?
I think Kieran Black Heracross is probably the most consistent option, or maybe Kieran Black Zygarde. Kieran Black is so good at Z moves, because if your opponent only has like a Registeel with their answer, just run Z Focus Blast or Earth Power, you're doing like 50 to 70, and then they no longer have that response. For his lower tiers, like I think maybe also Chandelure could be good, but like I think Kieran Black is a Z move holder. I had a lot of success with it. It was super, super good with Z moves.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he picks. I think Kieran Black's a good answer, but I think that's probably one of his only high tier options. I mean, maybe Metagross as well, but I think Kieran Black would be better. I would be interested to see if he does the same thing I did and do Kieran Black high tier, Omastar low tier. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, I think Kieran Black is definitely #1 contender for the Z holder. And then the low tier, there's a couple different things he could do there. I think Zygarde would be a pretty good one too. So yeah, he gets a 9, and we will move on to New Tony, and he of the Huntsville Hydreigons.
Here's a real high-class bout.
And I believe this is also his first season in the main league. He was in the Alt League last season.
He was at the end of season 5, I think.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So he's got Scizor, Tyranitar, Donphan, Slowking, Lantern, Sharpedo, Weezing, Chestnut, Hawlucha, Megapincer, and Typhlosion. And looking at this team, there's a lot of Pokemon on this team that I really like. However, I don't know if I really like this team as far as synergy. He had sent me his list because he was going to be out, and he had asked me to pick some of these for him. And I actually had to text him and make sure he really wanted me to pick some of these, because we're looking, he's got the Slowking, Lantern, Sharpedo, 3 water types in a row. There's not a whole lot of type diversity on this team, and I don't like that. So I would say this is probably one of my less favorite of the draft so far.
Yeah, I say this knowing that I face him week 1, and then if I trash his team a bit and he beats me, I'm gonna get shit for it, but whatever. I agree, this is one of the weaker teams. He was kind of picking in a weird order where he grabbed 3 water types in a row, and I think grabbing Lantern in tier 5 is like, I mean, he got like Mega Pinsir the second last round, so like it didn't necessarily work badly for him, but he was kind of stacking up grass weaknesses. I think his only removers are Donphan, Scissor, but when you have Pokemon like Pinsir and Typhlosion, I think having more options is better. And I think he's pretty much said, I have to either run Defog Scissor, which is a really mediocre set, honestly. I tried running that in Season 3, and it's not good. And Donphan as your only other remover, it's going to limit him. Also, his team is just so slow. I mean, he has some good priority, but I think his fastest Pokemon is Hawlucha, and then it drops down to 105 and 100, and then it drops down to like base 80. And he has things like Sharpedo and stuff, but outside of that, a lot of his Pokemon is around like base 60 or lower. And like things like Scarf Tyranitar or whatever are still slow even with the Scarf. So it's not like an awful team. It just compared to like the last 3 teams we've seen, which are some of the premier ones this season, this one really leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he would have picked, and I know he didn't have the option to, but if he would have gotten Excadrill instead of Scizor and gotten something else instead of Donphan, that probably would have jumped his team up several points for me.
Yeah, like what you said, there's not like this team more than any other. I can weak, big electric type weakness, ground type weakness. There's just like this is probably this team I'm least scared to fight against. I'm just like I'm confident the most going in against this team. There's not too much synergy with this team, like you already said about the three water type picks. It's like he started out like he was gonna make a sand team, and it just kind of like fell off from there. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this draft.
Yeah, I think so far this is probably my least favorite that we've seen so far. I know Joe's team so far has gotten the lowest score, but I think that's just because it didn't really synergize very well. But individually, its members were all very good. This team, I just don't see it synergizing very well either. I think he doesn't have the support he needs for Mega Pinsir, Typhlosion. I like Typhlosion as a pick, but I think with the rest of his team, it just doesn't really work super well. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably give this team a 5.
All right. I'll give it a. I'm gonna give it a 4. Honestly, it's just like I'm just not scared of this team. Watch now. I'm gonna get bodied when I fight him. I dug my own grave. But no, yeah. Honestly, I like when I prep for this team. I'm not gonna. It's probably gonna be my shortest. Like it won't take me long to think like, okay, like his top tiers are just like they're all weak to ground, and then like I already said it. It's just I can't speak.
Yeah.
But I already said what I said. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm also going to go 5. A few other random nitpicks. His physical offense is pretty good. His special offense is pretty much Typhlosion and mixed Sharpedo. So if your team has like a Pokemon like Hippowdon, that sits in front of like half of his team already. And I'm not really sure how Tyranitar synergizes with this team. Like, it's a decent Pokemon, even not counting Sandstream, but like none of his Pokemon on his team really enjoy sand. It chips away at like Pokemon like Weezing or Sharpedo or Lantern or whatever. It like to make a Pinsir, it just does a bit of extra damage. Chestnut can no longer run Synthesis really reliably. Nothing on his team benefits from it in any way. Like at least if you grab like Sand Slash as like a backup spinner, I don't know how good that'd be. Like at least you'd have a Sand Rush user. I'm surprised he didn't snipe Stoutland before I did. I thought he was going to, which is why I grabbed it slightly earlier than I would have. But yeah, I'm gonna give 5 out of 10. Compared to a lot of other teams, it just leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, again, just a couple of different picks, and he could have turned it around significantly. Honestly, if he would have got Excadrill instead of Scizor, that could have probably brought it up to at least a 7 for me. Because that would have had a good threat and some different options he could run. But we will see how that goes. And next up, we've got Carlos with the Oklahoma City Electivire.
It's on!
He's got Manaphy, Umbreon, Amoonguss, Hitmontop, Forretress, Aerodactyl, Dusclops, Magmortar, Mega Altaria, Landorus Eye, and Reuniclus. One thing that is interesting to note about Carlos's team is he has already used up all of his trade/free agent picks, which I don't agree with. I think that's a bad move before the season even starts. But anyways, he dropped Heatran, Sylveon, and Slowbro. And I don't know if I agree with those either. I think Mega Altaria is a good pickup. It's very flexible in the draft. And Landorus Eye is good too, but I think he dropped some really good picks. But anyways, overall, this is a pretty typical Carlos team here. It's a team that can be very fat, very thick. It's going to take a lot of hits. It does have a little bit of offensive pressure, especially with the Aerodactyl being picked up. But I wanted to see what you guys think on this one.
Yeah, I was talking to Carlos, and I think he had some draft. I think he said he struggles with drafting because like he doesn't really think too far ahead, and like he kind of boxed himself in early. This overly bulky team, then was kind of like he kind of gave up, just said like whatever, I'll just make transactions. And I think with the transactions, his team, like I'm no longer gonna rip it apart like I originally was going to. His team looks all right now, but the fact that he has no flexibility later in the season unless he can make some trades is going to be difficult. If he finds any problems with his new team, it's gonna limit him. I do like his high tier setup: Mega Altaria, Dragon Dance, Lando Eye, Swords Dance, and Rock Polish, and Calm Mind. Reuniclus is Calm Mind. Manaphy is a great Z holder. And he does have some really good bulk to fall back on. He also avoided his problem he's had in past seasons, where he actually has good removal this time with both Fortress and Hitmontop, and like a pretty okay hazard setter and Hitmontop, but his only setter I think is Hitmontop outside. No, he has Aerodactyl and Lando Ice Rocks. So it seems like it's not bad. It's not amazing. It's still kind of slow. It's still very bulky, and kind of like a lot of his teams kind of like taunt baits. Like a good taunt stall breaker looks like it just really annoys his bulky core. Yeah, it's not a great team, and I think the fact that he no longer has any flexibility of his transactions is going to make the season more difficult for him than it otherwise would be.
Yeah, I was gonna point. That was my first point. I was gonna point out that like taunt really like messes up his team, especially like with Umbreon and Fortress and Dusclops and such, and to a lesser extent Manaphy with Tail Glow. Like this team is not a fan of taunt. But nothing on this team is like super bad or anything. It's just there's nothing that like jumps out at me. Maybe besides like Manaphy, because just 100 stats all around is really good. Otherwise, it's okay. It's okay. It's not the best, not the worst for me. And like all the points you already said.
It pretty much went from like kind of a dumpster fire to not bad. Like a few problems, not the best. Like. It's hard. Yeah. If you've been here since season 2, you kind of look at this team. You can take Carlos's name out of it, and if you had to guess whose team this is, you'd probably still guess Carlos just by looking at like Amoonguss, Fortress, Umbreon, Manaphy, Mega Altaria, Reuniclus. Like it's just typical Carlos, and he's done well with these kind of teams. So maybe he can do it again, get the finals again.
Yeah, he's definitely the go-to for the long stall battle games. Which I do not like that playstyle, but we'll see how he does with it. I think that Carlos's team is probably in the same ballpark as Joe's team. I think he's probably a 6, maybe 6.5.
I'll give him a 6.5.
I'll give him a 7 just because I like the synergy of his high tier picks. But yeah, 6.5, 7. That range kind of sounds right.
Okay, so we'll give him a 6.5. And next up, we've got Ryan with the Olympia Beartix.
This match will get red hot.
He's got Tapu Fini, Megaladios, Victini, Porygon 2, Greninja, Roserade, Gourgeist, Raichu Alolan, Staraptor, Rhyperior, and Hitmonlee. And this is a very balanced team, which I think Ryan does tend to run typically. I know last season he tried to do some rain stuff, but typically he runs a pretty balanced team. I really like his high tier picks a lot. I think they're all really good. And Jack, have we seen a Mega Lati form yet?
No, and I'm super excited to see it drafted. I think it's fantastic.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I really like the Greninja as a Z holder as well. I think that's going to be really good.
Yeah, like even without protein, Greninja is like its move pool is still diverse and still hits relatively hard. Great Z holder there. And like what you had said, this team is I love the balance on this team. I'm just a fan of balanced teams in general. I mean, despite how offensive my team is, I really do like balanced teams. And I think a notable low tier pick that is Staraptor. I don't know how he's that low in draft format. If I'm being honest, I think he's too good to be in tier 3 in this type of format. It has Intimidator, Reckless. It's good speed tier, hits like a truck. And then Tapu Fini is just an all-around great Pokemon. Porygon 2 is so annoying to say the least. I'm a little bit unsure about Gourgeist, since he already has Rose Raid, and I like to see what he'll do with Alolan Raichu. And just overall, it's a pretty good team.
Yeah, so I kind of put Staraptor in tier 3, and like no one opposed me, and I kind of regret doing it because I wanted to see someone else use it except me. So I'll take the fall for that. Yeah, this team is it's kind of like Brandon's, where it's just like overall the balance is really solid. He's got some good walls. Porygon 2 is fantastic because Trace is one of the best abilities in this format. Latios Tapu Fini is a fantastic core, but he's got really solid breakers with Staraptor and Victini and a Pokemon like Greninja, which can come in late game and really clean easily. His team does have some common weaknesses though. Ice is very good against him, especially because his only resist that isn't very frail is, I guess, Victini, but mainly Tapu Fini. And I think there was another one I think was like Ghost is pretty good against him. Like having 2 high tier psychic types. I had that in season 1. It's not too big of a deal, but it can be kind of annoying. Like a Pokemon like Gengar with taunts really is annoying for his team, for example. And yeah, his only rock setter is Rhyperior. He has some like spikes and toxic spike setters, which is nice, but I think having only one rock setter isn't also that great. I think rocks can't, like, I think they're important. You can't just like not have great setters, because imagine going up against a team like Newtoni, so it's Pinsir and Typhlosion, and rocks are amazing, and he doesn't have great ways to remove it, but then you only have one setter. It's kind of a bit annoying. But overall, still a solid team, just a few type weaknesses and such.
Greninja gets spikes, right?
Yeah, Greninja gets spikes and toxic spikes, and so does Rose Raid, so he at least has decent setting options with those two.
And then Staraptor gets Defog?
Yeah, but I've ran Staraptor Defog. It's absolute trash.
Like, I'm not saying to do, I'm just saying, like, he has a lot of options.
Yeah,
he's got a spinner, he's got, I think, like 4 Defoggers, right?
Yeah, he's good removal options, which is really nice.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I'll give it like an 8.5.
Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.
Yeah, I'd also go 8. Kind of like, not necessarily the best team, but like very solid overall.
So we'll go ahead and move on to the next team, and that is Dennis and the Wisconsin Whimscots.
Now go!
He's got Lando T, Mega Metacham, Rotom Wash, Klefki, Darmanitan, Hoopa, Galvantula, Alolan Ninetales, Ditto, Garbodor, and Regigigas. And Dennis is one of those types of coaches where you can just look at the team and guess who coaches it. And I think this is very much a Dennis team, especially with the Klefki on there, and the Regigigas coming in at the end. So I think this is going to be interesting to use. Obviously, Lando T is a big threat. Mega Metacham, I don't know if we've really seen a whole lot of that in the league, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. Rotom Wash is great. Klefki is really annoying, especially in league. Darmanitan's really good. Hoopa, I'm not super sold on. I think it has a lot of weaknesses. But he's also got Sticky Webs with Galvantula. Curious to see what he's going to do with Alolan Ninetales, though. I'm kind of iffy on that one, but I don't really know what it can do. But Ditto's good as well. But I'm not sure. This is kind of, I'm a little iffy on this one overall.
So up until Ditto, up until Ninetales, this whole draft is so annoying. This entire thing he drafted is so annoying. With Intimidate from Landorus, Rotom Wash in it itself, Klefki in of itself, Mega Metacham just so strong. Like, I think, what does it have before Pure Powers put? It's like 100 what? 108 or maybe even higher.
Yeah, it's like 80 then 100, I think, and then not counting Pure Power. It's like 200 or whatever it is.
It's insane. Like, it's really annoying and pretty good. And then Darmanitan, like a lot of strong hitters. But then we get to like, and Galvantula is. I do not like fighting Galvantula. Just guaranteed sticky webs. Anything that's good against getting rid of, like, a magic bounce, it will thunder you. Taunt, it will just bug buzz you because they're mostly dark types. So not looking forward to that. And then like what you said about Ninetales, like a Alolan form, I don't necessarily see how it works with this team. Like, it's not a bad Pokemon, but I just don't like it with this team. And Ditto, it's there. choice Scarf and just do whatever. I really like Garbodor. He's solid poison type, spikes, and then aftermath when you kill it, so it's does a good chunk to you. And then Regigigas, I'm gonna be honest, I think he's just gonna free agency this. Regigigas almost never makes out of slow start, so I have no idea what he's gonna do with that.
Yeah, as a whole, this team looks like a Season 5 team. I mean, the first 5 picks are identical, but it looks just like a worse version of a Season 5 team. And I think he had probably one of the best teams in Season 5. It's kind of like that, but downgraded. It's like, yeah, he has no removal whatsoever, which I think is just really mediocre. I think when you have Pokemon like, unless I'm missing something, I'm not sure though.
No, yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, and when you have Pokemon like Darmanitan and Ninetales, and I guess Galvantula is mainly Sash anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But like, I think that limits him a lot because it's gonna limit him a lot. He's got some like decent spike setters and such, and like Lando T is good. His first few picks are good, and I actually really like Ninetales because I think offensive ice types in the format are just fantastic, and it gets like Nasty Claw and some other stuff. So I think Aurora Veil's obvious. For offensive team, Aurora Veil is fantastic as well. So that's really good. But yeah, like I don't think Regigigas is good at all. He had it in the NU League, and I don't think it did anything. And like as a whole, like I think Hoopa it's decent, but like if you have anything on your team with Pursuit, it's pretty much a one-shot wonder because it's gonna get trapped. Yeah, like Metacham again, like it's good. He's used it well, but like, this team just kind of looks like a worse version of his team last season, and I think people already kind of know what to expect. He's already used it for like 12, 13 games. So like I think Dennis is a good coach, but I'm not really sure how this kind of like on-court redraft the same team strategy is really going to work.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really like the last 4 picks he made. I don't like Hoopa either. I'm going to give this team a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I was gonna say 6.5, but then I'm just looking back at like Mega Meta. I'm like, oh, never mind. Let's go with 7.
I'll go 7.5. I like kind of like Brian. Like Dennis has always made playoffs. He's always done. Like I still think he's gonna be a threat. Assuming he like can get his matches played. Just as a whole, this team isn't the best, but you can always just drop Regigigas, make some transactions. So who knows?
One thing, just from looking at his team, there's not a whole lot of in my opinion, a whole lot of good options for his Z holders. What do you guys think he might pick for those?
I would disagree because I think Lando T. For a high tier, I think Lando T. Sick. For low tier, it's like maybe Hoopa. But
yeah, it's like Hoopa's his only reliable one. Like Ditto, no chance with Choice Scarf. Garbodor, no. So,
yeah, Dharma Scarfed or banded like 90% of the time. Yeah. But Landorus T as a Z holder user is really good, so I'll give him that.
Z Klefki, anything?
Klefki's a threat in his hands. He's run some wacky stuff with that.
Alright.
So it looks like we will move on to the last team, Jarrett of Intermelodic, the only team that decided they did not want to keep with our naming plan. This is a throwback to JR from Season 1.
A brawl is surely brewing.
But anyways, he's got Tapu Bulu, Jirachi, Garchomp, Mega Sharpedo, Raikou, Salazzle, Komala, Cryogonal, Machamp, Minwar, and Kricketune. Overall, I think Jarrett's a good coach, and this is a pretty well-balanced team. I really like the Bulu, Jirachi, Garchomp tier 1 picks there. And then I like most of Jarrett's picks. I'm not really sure what all Kamala can or can't do. I'm not really familiar with that one. I like Cryogonal as a spinner, and it's overall a pretty good type. Minwar, I think, is a threat that most people are going to be caught off guard with. I really like that pick. The only one that I'm not super thrilled about, I guess, would be Cricketune. I think it can do webs, and that's probably about it.
Or no, you're creating a Felstinger. Choice band
That
Felstinger.
is true, yeah. We could see a couple of Cricketune sweeps.
So besides Josh, this would probably be my second favorite draft. I just like the monitor on it. I like everything he's got. Garchomp is, everyone knows about Garchomp, how good it is. Bulu's good. Sharpedo, it's good, but I don't know how it is in draft. So that, unless you guys know how it has been in draft so far.
All we've seen was Brian use it last season, and he tore people up with it. So, but we did move it up a tier.
And I think this generation got that Psychic Fangs, right? So it's got a good move that hits one of its weaknesses. So, if I had to pick a boner pick of this team, would be that both of his Z holders are weak to ground. And I just think that's a little questionable. I do like Salazzle's Z holder, and Raikou maybe. I'm not sure. But then again, I don't see what else he could have given his top tier, his tier, his high tier Z crystal to. So, Komala, Tis has shown me the ways of Komala. Tis has shown me how good Komala can be. It's a very bulky spinner. Putting a Sulfur on that thing just does not die specially anyway. Cryogonal, it's pretty good. I tried using it when I played RU in my black and white days. It was nice. Big fan of Machamp. I think a lot of people sleep on Machamp. Machamp's move pool is so good, and it just hits. I think it has 130 attack, right? And then it has no guard, 130 attack, dynamic punch.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's really good. And then Minior, like what you said, that is a sleeper threat. People just say, oh, it's Shell Smash, so predictable, but they're not ready for how hard and how fast it is. So, and then Cricketune, yeah. Besides sticky webs and the joking Felstinger, I don't see much use for it.
Yeah, overall, I do like this draft though. What do you got on this one, Jack?
Yeah, it's overall, this is again kind of like a few of the other teams we've seen. There are very few big weaknesses. The only main issues I'd have would be nitpicks. It's just a really solid team. I love his high tier picks, honestly. I think they're all fantastic. Bulu, Jirachi, Garchomp is it's probably the best Fairy Dragon Steel Core drafted, unless I'm forgetting something obvious. That's just really good. Mixed with, Raikou. He's got good Volt Turn with Jirachi, Raikou to help facilitate safe switch-ins to Mega Sharpedo and stuff. I kind of agree with this, lower tier picks. I think Cryogonal, people joke about that thing a lot, saying, it's a garbage pick or whatever. I think, or it's not a good Pokemon. I think it's one of the best tier 5s, honestly. Super fast, great Spadef, so it can wall a lot of electric fast special attackers, whatever. Freeze Dry, Levitate, which is really good. I think that's a really smart pick on his end, and I hope he uses Machamp well, because I think it could be good, but I've yet to see anyone use it well. And Cricketune, it's not a great pick, but it does have webs, and if you're gonna have a questionable, risky pick, then make it a tier 5 and the last pick of the draft. I don't think it matters that much. The only, real gripes I have with this team is most of his Stealth Rock setters are kind of offensive Pokemon by nature, so it might be a bit difficult to work them into certain matchups because, Rachi doesn't really want to run unless it's bulky. Same thing with Chomp, and same thing with Minior. And I don't really like Raikou as a Z holder. I feel like it's going to be Specs or Subcom Mind or Assault Vest most of the time. It does have good coverage, but I feel like Garchomp or maybe Bulu would be better user of it. I think Salazzle's a good user. I also just like his variation with speed tiers and Sharpedo, obviously, before Mega gets speed boost. Yeah, honestly, even the problems I have with this team are pretty minor nitpicks. I think it's one of the best overall teams, and I think Jarrett is going to do really well with it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a playoff contender team. I'm gonna give him a 9.
I'll give him a 9.
Yep, I'm gonna go 9 as well. I think this is the best team he's drafted in any of the seasons so far.
Yeah, so it looks like the highest teams we have, Josh, Brandon, Kevin, and Jarrett. We're all tied with 9s. And then Let's see who got the lowest. New Tony got the lowest with a 5.
Knockout!
So that kind of rounds things out. So as far as bold predictions, I know Jack, you've got some of these. What do you think we're going to see this season?
Do you want me to like list them off, or should we just like do a few, or like just?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and list them off.
Okay, well, got quite a few ones. A lot of suggestions for people who are going to win. People saying that Lauren will win, Lewis makes finals somehow, Jarrett will win, Goose will win, I will win. So Robert the best like no one ever was, so that one's good. In his debut season, Beanden will not only miss playoffs but have the worst record in the league. Pretty good one. MVP will come out of Johto Conference. Jack picks up Coma O before week 1, trades to Jarrett, and then he gets top of the Pokemon rankings with it. Jack and Brian are going to beat each other back and forth so much that Newt is going to sweep by as division leader and Hans will be wild card. That's interesting. Lewis will say Pussy at least 590 times throughout the season. Goose will destroy Carlos because Carlos is lame and Goose is cool. Piloswine will get more kills than Mamoswine. Jarrett will somehow find a way to lose because of RNG. Someone will miss a playoff spot due to having to forfeit too many games. That feels like a Dennis call-out or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone in the blue division will make playoffs except for New Tony, who will get at most 3 wins. Brutal. Joe will make playoffs. Gorgeist will be kill leader. Someone from the great state of Washington will win it all.
Feels like a Ryan call out.
Yeah, no kidding. Hans will do better than he did last season. 3-9. Goose will beat Tony 6-0, and he will drop out of the league due to embarrassments. I think I said Lewis will make finals somehow. Hype. And think that's pretty much everything.
So I will say, this is the first season that we have had bold predictions that primarily focus around somebody winning who is not playing. So that's a first for us.
Man, people are a fan of Goose. There's a lot of Goose predictions here.
Yeah, a lot of Goose and Lewis and all of that. So I think Goose and Lewis have a really high chance of showing up this season and winning, it sounds like.
I think Goose Lewis is going to be the championship match.
I think, honestly, as long as they can find a way to actually get in the league, I think they have a good shot.
Yeah, because you know Jarrett's going to lose due to RNG. It's going to happen.
I think Jarrett's still recovering from the winds of victory chafing his nipples.
Carlos still truffle shuffling to the finish. Me and
Yeah.
Brian going to beat each other so bad that we're both going to get DQ'd. Yeah, going to be a hype season.
So yeah, that's our draft video for Season 6 of the main league. And stay tuned, we're going to jump into the Alt League shortly.
Specific point of view on things.
Oh,
Cynthia. Cynthia.
No.
Jesus died for our Cynthias. Jesus cried. Runaway bride. Julia Roberts. Julia Rob hurts. Cynthia. Ooh, Cynthia. You're dead. You are dead. Pop boop beep boop pop boop.